Welcome to Clinically Speaking, the podcast that combines clinical insight with the chaos of reality TV, because somebody has to diagnose this drama.
For legal purposes, this is a joke. We would never diagnose someone who is not our client.
I'm Callie.
And I'm Alex.
And we're licensed marriage and family therapists here to review episodes 27 through 34 of Love Island USA Season 7.
Well, we did it, y'all. We pulled out our Ouija boards, we lit some candles, and we officially resurrected NicOlandria from the dead.
Yes, NicOlandria is alive and well. The Islanders are getting along. The sun is shining. Birds are chirping.
And your favorite LMFTs are smiling.
Seriously, I'm so happy. I've been watching edits all week long. I just love the way that they look at each other, the strength of their friendship, the yearning.
First of all, the way I screamed when they finally acknowledged what our Nancy Drew asses have been seeing all along, which is the yearning and the tension that just felt like
palpable.
Yes. I feel like the NicOlandrians really clocked the longing before anyone else. I think we really picked up on these little signs of them like making eyes at each other, how they always picked each other for challenges, and just like how giddy they were when they talked about one another.
Yeah. Even just in their body language, they give each other constant engagement. And this is why I'm so confused about people online not believing their connection, because the body doesn't lie. Their pupils are dilating, cheeks are flushing, they smile with their whole faces, their whole bodies. Mm-hmm. And there really seems to be this gravitational pull between them. Like they're always leaned in towards each other.
Yes, I really love all the nonverbal communication. And honestly, I can't help but smile and blush when I watch them on screen. And honestly, Callie has photographic evidence of this because my girlfriend took a picture of me watching the Soul Ties kiss. And you can see me smiling with a twinkle in my eye watching them live on screen.
Yeah, that's my new favorite picture, actually. You literally look like a child experiencing Disney World for the first time. And part of what I love so much about that kiss in particular is that they really showed how consent is sexy.
Yeah.
They were so flirtatious, and we see so many micro expressions and interactions between them that led up to that kiss. They were already vibing all night long, and then he said to her, "I'm trying to see if there's anything outside the challenges." And she goes, "There's only one way to find out."
I'm blushing thinking about it.
And they both like smile and nod and shrug their shoulders in response to all of these like verbalized statements as well, just kind of reinforcing that, yes, we're on the same page. We both want this.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I can see why there are probably thousands of NicOlandria edits online, because their chemistry is giving Bridgerton level tension, written by Shonda Rhimes level tension.
Yes, it's really giving Kate and Anthony. But what do you like about their connection?
Girl, when this man said she is one of the most attractive women that he has seen in his lifetime.
And this man has traveled the whole globe.
Yeah.
And she's the most beautiful he's ever seen.
Clearly, his prescription is honestly up to date. It's giving 20/20 vision. And you know the romance is working because my gay ass was blushing. But honestly, like, I feel like one of my favorite things about them, besides what we just mentioned, is that Nick says he really enjoys her strong personality. And I feel like for a lot of women, especially Black women, they're told that they have to be very mindful and very demure, which, hey, in certain settings, we definitely want to portray that. But I feel like in our most intimate relationships, we want to be allowed to show up in an authentic and vulnerable way.
Yeah. And what I love so much about them is that he makes her feel safe enough to be more expressive and show her interest in him, which is a very vulnerable thing. And I think a part of that emotional safety comes from who they are as people, but also because they've established a really strong foundation of friendship throughout this whole season.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like from my perspective too, Nick really helped her break free of this mindset that she had kind of going into the show, which I think we can kind of see pop up in her relationship with Taylor, where she was trying to like quote unquote do things by the book or have like a certain type of checklist. And what I think is really beautiful about her relationship with Nick is that he actually allows her to flourish because he sees her for who she actually is. And I think that kind of genuine connection initially made her feel a little shy, but eventually it allowed her to show up in a more vulnerable way. And I think we're witnessing that she's allowing herself to be seen and cared for. And honestly, that's such a beautiful thing to watch unfold.
It really is so beautiful. And like, I get emotional sometimes watching her be able to flourish in this relationship. This is why I see them as the most authentic connection in the villa, because beyond their physical pull towards each other, they have created this foundation of safety, respect, and admiration, which again, I think is in part due to who they are as people, but also because their friendship has allowed them to build what the Gottmans call love maps.
Oh, yes. And as a reminder, we talked a little bit about your therapist's favorite bombshell duo, the Gottmans, in our last recap episode, Flooded and Not Just Emotionally. And the Gottmans, are researchers who study couples, and they've created a couples therapy model called the Gottman Method.
And so in the Gottman Method, love maps are the foundation of what they call the sound marital house. So love maps are essentially how deeply you know and understand your partner. And that means that you can name and describe their friends, their favorite things, their beliefs and values, their family relationships, their daily lifestyle. All these things go into love maps and solidifying the foundation of friendship in your partnership.
And this honestly applies to friendships too. This is why I know that Callie would need to be carried out in a stretcher if she was told she could not go to a Disney park on vacation.
Caught me.
But in all seriousness, I really do enjoy using love maps because it helps people understand their loved ones' experiences and their inner world, which helps people cultivate intimacy and makes it easier to navigate conflict with more empathy and understanding.
Agreed. And unfortunately, this season, we haven't seen a lot of couples developing their love maps or engaging in smaller bids for connection. I think that we've seen a lot of grand gestures, which are helpful in communicating your care and investment in somebody. But I think the greater indicator for couple longevity is in those smaller moments that fill up what the Gottmans call the emotional bank account. So in daily life, we need many small moments of care, consideration, and appreciation. And we see Nick and Olandria have a constant stream of tiny interactions like that, whether it's the touch of a hand, a smile from across the room, laughing at a joke, or all those little compliments and acknowledgments that pass between them.
And you know who was really picking up on these tiny interactions besides the NicOlandria Nation? NicOlandria's family. They were really seeing the vision, and honestly, so was America.
Yes, I loved that the families actually came to the villa this year. We got to learn so much more about their attachment and communication styles this way.
It made it so much easier to see their interactions in person compared to Zoom. I totally agree. And I really loved seeing Nick and his mother and sister interact with each other. I like that we could see that even if Mama Meatball didn't approve of some certain nighttime activities, it did not rupture their relationship overall. And I think we could see that he did not take this as a criticism because he knows that his mom will love and support him no matter what. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, he even says as much on the show. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And based on these interactions with his family, I would assume that he grew up in an environment where being emotionally expressive was not only encouraged, but was modeled for him.
Yes, and that parent-child dynamic is a really good indicator of secure attachment.
Yes. I think we can see this play out in his relationship with Olandria too, because he shows up in a similar way in that relationship as he does with his mom. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, Olandria and her mom were very cute together.
Yes.
Mom really seemed to be positive and supportive, and we can definitely see where Olandria's personality comes from after watching the two of them together.
Absolutely. I do have to say, though, I can definitely see that Olandria's mother is the OG blueprint for body tea, face tea, because she's stunning. And I feel like their mother-daughter connection is so cute. It's really clear that they know each other very well. And based on the interaction, I can honestly see why Olandria prioritizes friendship as much as she does in relationships, because we can definitely see this play out in her relationship with her mother.
Yeah, so I think we can agree that the family support is a great sign for the future of NicOlandria, and that on top of their strong foundation of friendship, physical chemistry, emotional safety, and just genuinely liking each other makes us think that there is hope for them outside the villa.
Yes, we really like them together. The only thing that gives me pause is our favorite Meatball's track record of being apprehensive around long-term commitment. But based on his feelings for Olandria, I'm feeling more reassured.
I definitely agree with you there, but I am really hoping that Nick has matured enough to invest in this really beautiful relationship that they've developed together. Plus, Nick's mom already is planning dinner.
True.
And Alabama and Florida are not that far apart. I'm just saying. And you know who else is not that far apart? Amaya and Brian.
Yes.
Boston and New York is only a 5-hour drive.
Absolutely, which my girlfriend knows. So obviously we're NicOlandria stans, if that wasn't apparent by now. But I'll be honest, I've definitely voted for Amaya and Brian in the past. I was genuinely torn between these two couples in voting. And I was also thinking, I know NicOlandria has their infamous name, which, what did they name themselves?
NoLandria or something? Friends, no.
No, that was
NicOlandria.
Immediately. Do Brian and Amaya have a nickname?
I haven't heard one, but I personally feel like it should be Amayan, especially since his name is spelled with a Y, but I haven't seen that anywhere.
Oh, I love that. That makes so much sense. Okay, I'm rolling with that. So Amayan's connection, what I like about that is that their cultural background really shapes the way they approach love and how they navigate relationships. I feel like they have that shared cultural background, which adds so much depth to their connection. And I feel like, I have to say it, even though I probably already did, I just love that Brian stood up for her in the Stand on Business challenge and really emphasized the fact that it's a cultural difference that they just don't understand.
Yes, agree. And I really loved how Amaya's mom brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
And you could really tell how much it meant to her to have someone fully see her daughter and stand up for her like that.
Yes, and as it should. That was such a beautiful moment. And I also thought that seeing Brian and his father crying, that was such a touching moment to me too. And as a side note, I just loved that Shelley said that Brian cried like a man. I felt like that was such an important thing to emphasize.
Yes, I love seeing men cry. And I like to see them cry. I don't like making them cry, let's be clear. It is such a powerful thing for boys especially to see their fathers express emotion in a vulnerable and healthy way. And I think that we really see the benefits of that in the way that Brian accepts his own and other people's emotions.
Yeah, what really stood out for me in terms of Brian's interaction with his family is how openly both of his parents expressed their love and care for him. There was no hesitation about emotional expression. So it makes sense that Brian feels comfortable with Amaya being so emotionally open and showing up in that way in the relationship, because he comes from a home where emotional expression is modeled and accepted.
Yes. And overall, seeing the similarities in the way that their families interacted with them and how they interacted with each other's loved ones was such a green flag for this relationship.
Yes.
Because I think being able to integrate your partner into your family or friend group can be a real challenge for many couples, and it seemed so natural for these two, which I think will make their transition into a longer-term relationship so much smoother.
Agree. And I think it's safe to say we love them as people and as a couple. So I would personally be happy with an Amayan or NicOlandria win.
Yes, me too. I have so much hope for them. And I think that they really like each other. I'm definitely interested to see, though, if they have any conversations about life outside the villa, because I don't really think we've seen them talk about that yet.
That's true. But any man who's excited and ready to see a girl in her muumuu dress is ready for long-term commitment. I think that's a safe bet.
Is there anyone else that you think gives like a long-term commitment vibe?
You know, I feel like Iris and Pepe kind of give me that vibe. I feel like they're in the same boat as NicOlandria and that they have a very cute friends to lovers arc. I just really liked how they didn't even consider each other a possibility until they had to. Honestly, it's basically the plot to every Hallmark movie that two people are thrown into a situation that they think this could never happen, and then bam, all of a sudden they're happy and in love. So I really like that for them.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know I love a friends to lovers or forced proximity trope. And I thought it was really cute the way that they comforted each other after they were both left single.
Yes.
I think that they also communicate really well together.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they seem to really like each other, not only as friends, but as romantic partners. And from what I've seen in their communication styles, not just with each other, but with other people during times of stress, they both communicate in a very kind, patient, and direct way that's still gentle, though.
Yeah, the similarities in the way that they communicate is a really good sign for their compatibility as a couple. And I think that we see those similarities in the emotional culture of each of their families as well. Both of their families seem to be lower on the emotional expressiveness spectrum while still communicating their love and care for one another.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can see the difference in expressiveness and communication when Iris asks her mother if she likes Pepe. Instead of her mom saying something negative, she just says, you know, I'm picky, but I want you to be happy. So she's honest, but in a way that's still rooted in love and respect for her. And I feel like we can see Iris model this type of communication when she talks to Sierra about the infamous NicOlandria soul ties kiss. Iris tells Sierra, I would have said, you've been inside of me, you freak, which I really loved. She was really playful and calm and warm, but still firm. And I feel like I really related to that because I like to insert humor into conversations to diffuse tension. So I liked that.
Yeah. And I think that we see Pepe be both kind and direct in his communication as well.
Yeah.
And so, as we've talked about already today and in our first recap episode, when both partners have similar communication styles, it sets them up for greater success in the relationship.
Yes, and in contrast, we can see how mismatched communication styles can lead in the opposite direction with a certain couple.
I am so confused how Huda and Chris are still in this villa. He clearly doesn't want to be with her, but as with Huda's relationship with Jeremiah, these dynamics are really, really complex, and I think that we're going to have to do a deep dive on that whole situation in another episode.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to need some more time to marinate on that one. But as an aside, I will say that Huda's daughter, that whole scene was so cute.
Oh my god. Yeah, she's adorable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am still shocked that America voted to keep Huda and Chris over Shelley and Ace because, look, even though Ace may not be my absolute favorite, at least he likes Shelley.
And I was honestly just so heartbroken that my girl Shelley went home, along with my last sliver of hope to make this show any more gay.
I know you were hoping Shelley would couple up with Megan Thee Stallion.
True. But I also did really think it was cute that Shelley's had known each other outside of Love Island. They have this like vibe where they're high school sweethearts and then they break up and then somehow they end up reconnecting and falling in love with each other. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, no, I think that their path to each other is very romantic and very sweet.
I like how real their communication is too. I feel like they are already kind of giggling and bickering like an old married couple, especially during the baby challenge. I was honestly laughing so hard watching them.
That baby challenge was wild.
How did you feel about Shalace, though? Do you feel like they have the same, like, friendship to lovers arc?
No, they were lovers to lovers. Like, it was romantic from the start with these two, and I think that's what we love about them.
Yeah, I honestly feel like every time I think about them, I'm so surprised that they were not an OG couple.
Yeah, no, in my mind, they've been together since day one.
Honestly, I always forget that she was coupled up with Austin. And I really have to say, I admired her ability to be so gentle, so calm, and direct, even when navigating tough conversations with Austin. Because we definitely saw that patience come through when she talked with Austin for what was probably the 100th time about the so-called love triangle that was really just a straight up arrow between her face.
Absolutely.
Although I do kind of wonder if there's a pattern of unspoken communication after seeing Shelly's dad side-eye the camera after Shelly's mom compared him to Ace. I mean, maybe this is just bad editing and they did this man a strong injustice, but I don't know. It was just interesting to see. I wonder if that is a dynamic within the family.
Yeah. No, I definitely have wondered about, like, how much do we see versus not see.
Mm-hmm.
But I did also like the way that Ace and his family interacted, though. His siblings seemed really sweet and supportive. And again, I love to see men cry with each other.
Yeah, it was honestly so sweet to see everyone with their families.
I will say, though, my only concern with the way that the Chalet romance has developed is that it seems to be built on a lot of grand gestures. And in my opinion, that speaks to Ace's age more than anything. So, like, I don't want to be too critical of it, but I just see him as kind of role-playing what he thinks love is supposed to look like. So he creates all of these large displays of affection, which, again, don't get me wrong, those are really important in communicating your care and investment. But because he's still pretty young, I don't think he fully understands that a lasting relationship also really, really requires a foundation of many little positive interactions over time. So although they've both expressed a really strong interest in commitment, I worry that it won't translate into a strong relationship in real life, especially since they'll likely have to be long distance and they haven't shown the best ability to resolve conflicts together.
Yeah, but I feel like timing was not on their side because they had their big conversation about their relationship before, during, and after the Stand On Business Challenge. So it is pretty reasonable that they were emotionally flooded. And because of this, it seemed like it was difficult for them to listen to one another's perspectives, which is a shame because I feel like we only saw them navigate tough conversations when their emotions were already so heightened. But I do feel like it's a really good sign that they cared enough about one another to try and work through these issues.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And even with all of our reservations, we were so happy to see Chalet coupled up and closed off.
Oh, yes. Can we talk about how the irony of being closed off is now all of a sudden this kiss of death for Love Island season 7?
Is that not the whole point of the show, to be coupled up and closed off? Like, I'm not understanding.
I don't understand it at all.
I feel like this season is such a mirror for situationship culture where being non-committal is rewarded, and it's very frustrating to watch. And I think the Islanders are definitely following that pattern, and even production did this season with making that new rule where the only way to return to your original couple after Casa Amor was if you forgot about them enough to connect well with someone else. Ridiculous. And if I can just get on my soapbox for a minute, the problem with avoidance of commitment and with situationships in general is that people are often doing it to avoid getting hurt. But the reality is that you are still getting emotionally invested, so you're gonna get hurt when it inevitably ends anyway, and likely more hurt because of the ambiguity. And that just always leads to
Titanic level catastrophe.
Exactly. And it also creates a culture where people get the benefits of connection and relationship without any of the responsibilities that are meant to come with that, which is unfair and just, like, sucks. And just to bring it full circle to our favorite couple, this is why I love NicOlandria so much, because Olandria sets clear boundaries and expectations, and Nick steps up to meet them.
Yeah, I really love that Olandria sets expectations and boundaries with her partners. I think she did this with Taylor too. And it's great to see someone laying down their expectations on the table so that their partner can determine if they're willing, able, or even honestly want to meet those expectations. And I think she's really clear about setting expectations for not only little things, but also big things that she's looking for in a partner. Like when she says she wants somebody to open doors for her or do little things like walk on the certain side of the road. I don't know. I don't do that, but whatever that was. And I think we saw that Nick understood what her expectations and desires were. So then he knows how to meet those expectations, which is why he makes her pancakes with crispy little edges on them.
Yes. And I do also want to be very clear that when we're talking about expectations and boundaries, really, I'm not talking about the physical relationship at all. I'm talking about the emotional relationship and about investing time, energy, and emotion into people who are reciprocating that investment.
Yes.
And having expectations for the relationship that align with the level of investment you're both giving. Because the downside of playing it cool is that it sets the relationship up to fail because the expectations don't match the emotional investment.
And that's the tea on Situationship Island.
All right, it is time to wrap up our episode with gay thoughts, straight thoughts. Alex, what are your gay thoughts from these couple of weeks?
My first gay thought is that Olandria's mother needs to be casted ASAP for season 8 of Love Island. She is so fine. And my second gay thought is that the Love Island producers really need to hire that one friend that we all have who can like track down a man and his secret family so we can avoid any more of these so-and-so has left the villa from happening.
That's an excellent idea.
Callie, what are your heterosexual thoughts?
I feel like I already know what you're gonna react to my straight thoughts. Number one is Pepe and Chris really made me consider watching basketball for a few seconds there.
Hey, I love the WNBA. I mean, so I get it.
My second thought is that Nicholas in a tank top will get me every single time. Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, no comment. Sure, love that for you.
Well, thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for our next recap episode on the finale.
We hope you enjoy listening as much as we enjoy making the episodes.
And if you guys have any questions or suggestions, you can email us at clinicallyspeakingpod@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram or TikTok at clinicallyspeakingpod.
As you know, helping professionals are not raking in the big bucks, so please make sure to subscribe to Clinically Speaking in your podcast app and follow us at Clinically Speaking Pod on TikTok and Instagram.
This is an opportunity to discuss theoretical topics, but as always, we are not diagnosing any individuals, nor are we providing clinical treatment or recommendations. We're discussing our opinions that happen to be informed by a clinical perspective, however, they are still our personal opinions. If you want to apply these concepts in your personal life, we encourage you to speak to a therapist in your area.